Hey friends, so I'm back and I think I have a word from the Lord. I prayed a lot about what I would say to you guys next, and I, the same day that I had published this last podcast, I was out driving around my house and I just seen so many people harvesting, and I just felt like that's going to be it. It's going to be about the harvest. And I really was thinking to myself, like, you reap what you sow, and that would be a great topic to talk about. And in some ways, I am going to talk about that, but shortly after this idea came to my mind, I felt like God gave me a word from Matthew 25, and it is about the harvest, but not in a way of planting necessarily, maybe in the spiritual sense of planting seeds. In the book of Matthew 25, it ironically begins with the parable of the 10 virgins, the 5 wise, and the 5 foolish. And that will be my next episode, digging into that topic. But the following parable is about the servant who gets talents from the master. And in the story, the master gives 3 different servants 3 different talents. And in this story, the talents actually represent a coin. So they're given 5, 2, and 1, respectively. And the first servant takes the 5 talents and doubles them. And the next servant takes the 2 talents and doubles them. And then the final servant with the single talent takes his talent and buries it to keep it safe for the coming back of his master. And upon the master's return, he is overjoyed to find that the first servant has doubled what he gave him, invested what he gave him, and made more. And likewise with the second servant who doubled their talents, he's pleased because they again took what he gave them and multiplied it, returned it with interest. And the final servant who had buried the talent in fear of this master, in fear of what he would do if that talent were lost, he's upset the master, and the master doesn't understand why he would have withheld. And so I just think that even though in this story we're talking about coins, it's important that we apply this to ourselves and to our own lives. God has given each of us talents, each of us abilities and gifts, and He expects that we will take those things out into the world and that we will multiply it, that we will plant seeds to increase the harvest. After you have been saved, that should be your number one goal in life, is to tell everyone else about the gospel, the message of Jesus Christ, the fact that he came here, he died for our sins, and he rose again so that death was defeated, so that we have hope in an eternity, something that goes beyond our earthly days. And he has given each of us different abilities, whether that's through caregiving, whether it's through podcasting, whether it's through song, whether it's through preaching or teaching. He has given us each gifts and abilities to take out into the world to use for his glory. And I want to be one of the servants who takes my talents and multiplies them, who more than doubles what God has given me and brings it back and says, look what I did. I was obedient in this way, or I was obedient in that way, not for personal glory or any kind of recognition, but for the simple fact that there are so many people I love that I want to take to heaven with me. And there are so many people that don't know the truth about Jesus Christ that are depending on someone like you or me to have an encounter with them to tell them the good news. Some people are not going to start off at church. Some people are not going to find it on their own through life circumstance. Some people are waiting for you to tell them at work. Some people are waiting for you to tell them at school. Some people are waiting to hear your testimony. There's someone in your family that doesn't know what God has done for you yet. And maybe by you sharing that with them, He can water those seeds that you planted and He can harvest the fruit of it. He can have the love that He desires from the people that He loves. And to take whatever gifts and abilities that God has given you, that you use them in ways that God asks you to. I know He gives us different opportunities every day. And I was just talking to a friend today about how much harder sometimes we make our lives by not being obedient to that voice. I find so often that if I had just listened to that still small voice, that I would have saved myself so much trouble, that I would have got to my blessing a little bit sooner. But I stand in my own way a lot of the time. So I encourage you to assess yourself, assess the gifts that God has given you, and ask, how can I use these to multiply the kingdom? How can I use these to help the harvest? Because at the end of the day, that is our life's work. That is what's important. And so I leave you with that. I hope you have a great day. God bless.